Conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AnCan High Risk Recurrent and Advanced Prostate Cancer video chat for Monday, December 15, 2025. I'm Len Sierra, and I'll be moderating today with a little help from my fellow moderators, Rick and Dr. John. And all of you are well-informed and well-educated attendees. As a reminder, this video chat is for informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this discussion should be construed as medical advice. And as always, we want to acknowledge and thank our sponsors, and they are Bayer, J&J, Myriad Genetics, Novartis, Telix, and Blue Earth Diagnostics. Okay, so we will start with Tom Miller, who is new. Let's see. Tom, do you have your camera on or not? No, your camera's off. Can you turn your camera on, or it's okay if you can't. I'm just makes it a little easier. And your microphone is off, so we can't hear you. Tom, if you can hear us, put a little message in the chat box and let us know whether or not you can hear us, because we cannot hear you. And we're going to take a look at the chat. We've got a lot of things going on here, I see. Well, okay. Since I got it, Tom, we cannot hear you. We cannot see you. So we're going to move on. If you're having problems, put a little note in the chat and maybe someone can help you. So while we're waiting,
Len, anyway, I can do it. I believe I have his phone number, so I will try to give him a call.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Len, you have to let him know where the chat is too. He's new.
Okay. All right. Well, Jim Marshall's working on that. Let's try Stephen T. What can we do for you tonight, Stephen?
Hello, Len. Thank you.
Sure.
I'd like to put a question to the group regarding my brother. He's 76 years old.
Ooh,
and his PSA level.
Time out. Sorry, Steve, but we don't have people come in and ask for other people. We have too many people here. If your brother wants to come in, that's fine. But we just can't have people coming in and asking for other people because we don't know what information you have. It's an unspoken rule, and we're speaking it up right now. But he's very welcome to attend on his own behalf.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Steve. Let's go then to Bob Schwartz, my Venetian brother. Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, hi. Thank you, my Venetian brother. I just wanted to, first of all, say hello to everybody and apologize. I'm going to have to leave early tonight because I got a very early morning start tomorrow. I called Jim Marshall time I have to get up. But unbeknownst to that, with what I got to deal with, is a personal matter. I wanted to thank the unknown benefactor who's matching donations to AnCan this December. I was really thankful for the kindness and generosity being offered. I'm not asking for his name. I just wanted to know, or her, whoever it is, that they are well thanked and well respected for doing that. I really appreciate that, and I think everybody else does here. Also, Rick, if you can hear me, I don't know. I know you're not feeling good. I wish you were feeling better. I know you're fighting the fight. You may not always get people to like you. That's not part of the job when you're the boss. You know, you piss a lot of people off. That goes with the territory. I know. I used to do it. I still do it to this day. And I was against the advice you gave me initially with Len, but I listened to it and it worked out better for me than I ever could have imagined. So don't give up the fight with Zero and all the other people that are against you. Keep fighting the fight, because in the morning, you want to be able to look in the mirror and see that face. And if you like it, you're much better off, no matter what happens with other people liking you or not. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob.
I just want to thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. I tried to turn my camera on, but all the camera spots are being used. I haven't seen that come up in a while, so I don't know what's going on there. But yes, thank you. And we will, oh, look, Jimmy's arrived. Look, Jimmy's down there too. Jimmy's smiling.
Yeah, hi, Jimmy.
So no, I don't want your camera. It's okay. I'm good. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah. I will just say that I had a long chat with Bill Franklin before we printed what we did this weekend. And we came to the conclusion, and I think that Bill agreed with me. We came to the conclusion this has to stop. People can't go around bullying AnCan and expect that they just get away with it, which is what's going on right now. And we will stand up to it any way we can. And I do expect to be hearing from the sponsors again, because I do expect the offender to be going and moaning to them about what we're doing. But if that's what they do, then, and if the sponsors take it out on us, we'll go after the sponsors as well. But one thing I do know is that we are doing more work, better work, creating a bigger difference than anyone else in this space right now. And I hear that week in and week out. Not everybody may agree with what we say. Not everybody. I just had a discussion with somebody in the group tonight, and you're not going to agree with everything we say. We're not going to agree with everything you say, but we can say it, and anybody can say what they want. If it isn't correct technically or factually, we'll address it. But yes, I really appreciate your endorsement, Bob. It means a lot. Thank you.
And Rick, if you could, you can give my name, my number, my email address to the sponsors. They want to contact me. I'll tell them what I've learned by being part of this organization. And anybody else that wants to give it to you, fine. But I will talk to them.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think Dr. John has his hand up. I don't know if it's about this. He may have something to say on this.
No, it's not about this, although I thank Bob for what he says, but I just didn't want Bob to get away without catching us up on his cancer treatment, because last I knew, he was getting kind of sick from docetaxel and had bone mets, and I was wondering what's happened since then.
Oh, no, you missed it, Dr. John. I'm doing much, much better now. I'm out of the chemo stage now and starting to recover and feeling really much better. I got my taste for food back. I can actually drink water and it doesn't taste like iron anymore. And my PSA was 0.05. So I feel really good about that. The path is hard and arduous, but you know what? It's worth the trip, if you got to go on it versus where I was getting steered to other ways. This organization has been so phenomenal for me, and everybody on the group, and not only just the group members here, but like I said before, the previous group members, that gave everything to this group and make knowledge more and the wisdom they give, yourself included, Dr. John, to hear the stories and the information, especially from professionals in the field, how they've been sidetracked by other professionals, really gives me confidence in the decisions I've had to make. So thank you so much to everyone, past and present.
Yeah, John, I can vouch for Bob. I had lunch with him about a week or two ago. He's got more energy than I had when I was 18, so he's in good shape. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to, oh yeah, and also Bob, I agree with you, and many kudos to whoever it is that's doing the fundraising match. God bless you. Frank Chambra, you're up.
Can I just say one quick thing to Steve T? Steve,
Sure.
if we get through everybody and we have time at the end, we're happy to talk about your brother. I should have said that before. I'm sorry, but we just we want to give priority to everybody who's here in the room first. But stick around, and if we can handle that at the end, we will.
Good evening, Len. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Frank. We're ready.
Okay. Yes, sir. So, I just want to give an update. I just finished my 9th round of Pluvicto Wednesday, and after the second round, this is the third round of my redoing it. So, when I started, my PSA was 16.9, and after 2 more treatments of Pluvicto, it went down to 1.89, and I mean, I feel great. But my doctor said that before would be my 10th treatment, he's going to do a PSMA scan to see how these more Pluvicto treatments are working. So that's just basically where I'm at.
Oh, that's great. What was the elapsed time between the end of your first treatment and the beginning of your second round of Pluvicto?
How much time was it?
Yeah, but
5
between the
months.
first 6 and then the beginning of this second round.
Oh, 5 months.
Okay. So that's terrific. It's good to hear that you're responding once again. Do you know if they're doing a spectroscopy? I think is what they do to see if the Pluvicto is actually getting into the lesions. Do you know if they do that?
My wife said they don't do that at Ohio State because she
Okay.
asked.
Okay. All right. So the next thing for you is a PSMA scan without the lutetium, just to see if you're still, if there are any PSMA active lesions still out there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, congratulations on the success of the second round. Anybody have questions for Frank?
Yeah, I want to know if Frank's been lifting any transmissions recently.
No, but I mean, honestly, like when I had the situation with getting the cath and everything and having the cystitis, it was kind of a temporary setback for me, a wake up call, and I basically just laid low. But I really didn't get back in the gym for like 4 weeks, and then I just said to myself, like I felt like I was in a lull on myself, and I had to pick myself up again and get back in the gym and just being active. So that's why after my treatment on Wednesday, I purposed it in my heart to go back to the gym today, and I did, and it was good. I mean, yeah, it's you don't realize how the these things do affect us emotionally and mentally, and but I'm just
Mm.
picking myself up off the mat one more time, just keep going. But no, I'm not lifting any transmissions. It was only a motorcycle transmission, Rick.
Hey, listen, it could have been a dinky toy transmission. As far as I'm concerned, I was super impressed. I just want to tell you, and God bless you,
Thank you.
Frank. God
Thank you.
bless you, man. You're an inspiration. I don't know exactly how, or if Novartis got involved. I think they may have done, but we'll let them know how well you're doing. We
And thank you. Yes, Ohio State reached out to Novartis and they provided the medicine. So yes, they're definitely aware, and I appreciate you. Anything, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think they may have had, I think when Ohio State did reach out, they had already gotten a heads up, Novartis, because we gave them a heads up and they were going to see what they could do. So I think it might have been a joint effort to some extent between us. But I will let them know how well you're doing. Definitely. I'm
Thank you very
making
much.
a double asterisk to tell the Novartis folks.
Thank you, Rick, for taking time out to do that for me.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure.
Frank, anything else for us?
No, sir.
Okay, well,
Frank, that wife of yours, we've never seen her on screen. She always hides, and we hear her voice, but we never ever see her. Is she really there? Is she really? We're not sure.
She's here. My wife has just got home from work, and she's here. She's the reason I'm sitting here. And so
We
I'm
know
very
that.
thankful for her too.
We know that. We're
Smart
thankful
woman.
to her.
It's good to be married to a nurse.
Yeah.
yeah, sure is. Well, okay. Frank, continued good luck to you, and let us know when you get that PSMA PET scan and what it shows. And it looks like Tom Miller is now ready. Is that right, Tom? Can you hear me?
Whilst he's getting ready, Dr. John had his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm glad that Len asked that question about how much time between the two rounds, because we're going to hear from Gary Martin later on, and he's going to ask something about Pluvicto and when you can use it and when you can use it again. And it's a great question that we struggled for a couple of years when Pluvicto first came out, saying, when can we do it again? And how many is the magic number? So it looks like that was the way Frank did it was a good way to do it.
Yeah, very good. And I saw some in the chat. I just briefly scanned it. I saw some mentions of Peter Kafka. He had just 2 sessions of Pluvicto, and his PSA went down to 0.05, I believe. And Antanarakis, who was his medical oncologist, said, all right, let's just pause it right there and see what happens. And so I think now it's been a few months, and he's still very low after just two sessions of Pluvicto. So it's a very active drug. For some people, you could be an exceptional responder.
When that stuff works, it's a very impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that third or whatever it is where it works.
Right. Tom Miller, can you hear me? Jim, you said he was ready, didn't you? Captain Jim? Oh, it looks like he's on the phone with him. Oh, there you go. Stan Friedman, after 5 sessions, his PSA is now undetectable. Good for you, Stan. Well, I guess Tom is still having problems. I see. Oh, wait, Jim is that Jim? Yeah, he's off the phone now. Jim, is everything okay with Tom Miller? No, he's still on the phone. Oh, Mark N., the drug that we were just discussing is Pluvicto, which is lutetium-177 PSMA. It's a radioligand therapy, radioligand, if you prefer that pronunciation. First of its kind, I believe, in prostate cancer. All righty. Well, while we're still waiting for Tom, let's go on to Lee. Lee Balin. Go ahead, Lee.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you. And one quick question. I want to know if anybody's had specific experience using low-dose estrogen patches for the purpose of arresting bone loss, and specifically side effects and whether you have found that to be an effective treatment.
Anybody have that experience? We don't have Dr. Paul with us, but I don't believe he was on low dose. I think he was on high dose, wasn't he?
I've had it, Lynn.
You've had low dose?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So go ahead. Why don't you help out Lee?
It was helpful to me. When I started it, I had osteoporosis, but at the same time I started it, I was also started on Prolia shots every 6 months. The last time I was tested, which was a few months ago, I no longer had osteoporosis. So the combination was effective. I'm not sure which did more. You can expect that your breasts are going to grow and your nipples will get very sensitive. Some people advise to get a couple of sessions of radiation before you start, if you have a radiologist that would recommend that. Other people recommend taking tamoxifen orally, but that's a bit controversial. The 2 or 3 sessions of radiation are not so controversial if you want, if you don't mind that additional, the additional radiation. And you don't want to go too high, but do you know what your estradiol is now?
No, I don't. I'm actually, this is sort of looking in advance. I've had 2 bone scans, and I'm still short of osteopenia. But if I have another DEXA scan coming up in a couple of months, and if my bone loss is linear or worse, I'm probably going to be in osteopenia, but certainly not osteoporosis. But if I draw the line on the curve 4 or 5 years out, I'm there, and I'm looking to sort of head that off. Did you have any radiation treatment, and if so, how did it work?
I was already halfway through and developing gynecomastia when I had the radiation. I had 2 sessions. It certainly didn't get rid of anything, but I believe it slowed down any growth. The other reason I was able to get this, and my doctors were reluctant, but the reason I was able to get this was because they tested my estradiol, and I had like 0 estradiol, which is not a good thing for a man. So they were, they had no problem ordering it at that point. So they'll want to test your estradiol first, and they should.
No, I'm sure they will. No, I'm glad to hear this. I find a lot of material out there on high dose, and of course, the patch trial has a lot of information on it. But I've decided high dose is probably not where I want to go. And it's very hard to find people who've tried a low dose. I'd love to find somebody who's tried it alone. I understand you've tried it with other treatment, and I'm glad it worked and reversed your bone loss. That's great to hear.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Lee, if you're going to do this, make sure you get the radiation before you start.
Right.
All right. That is something that does sound reasonable. I've got a session with my MO on early January, and it's one of the topics I want to discuss. Again, I'm a bit anal. I'm looking probably a couple of years in advance before this becomes an issue for me. But frankly, at 82, I'm planning to live a few more years, and I'd rather do it without osteoporosis.
All right. Anybody have any comments for Lee? Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I've been using high-dose estradiol for over a year. My PSA is below the detectable levels of that the VA gives me. If you go to a website, estradiolinitiative.org, you can learn more about that. And we also have some people who are, participating there that are on low dose. Yeah, I put some information in the chat as well.
Looking at the chat now, I'll take a look at that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and
Yeah,
I'll look at that. I'll look at that link.
And
Len, can you hear me?
if you want to contact me offline, feel free.
Okay, thank you.
Rick, did I hear your voice?
Yes. Can you hear me okay? I'm having a
Yes.
bunch of trouble here tonight. Okay.
Yes.
So a couple of things, Lee. We've got another guy who's using low dose, but in conjunction with ADT, he's taking it at the same time to handle some side effects. But that's not exactly what you're talking about, I don't think.
Actually, it is exactly. I am on AD. I'm on the Lupron and abiraterone, and I'm
Okay,
looking
well,
at the
I'll send you his email and you can reach out to him. He's a good guy and I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you. There's also a recording that we have. If you Google estradiol, or I think estradiol on our website, there's a recording with him. The other thing is, are you taking any bone strengtheners right now of any sort?
No, I get a reasonable amount of calcium in my diet, and I'm taking vitamin D, but no specific bone strengtheners.
Okay.
And again, I'm not sure I'm ready for them. This is all anticipation. I want to see what my next DEXA scan shows and what the trend is.
Okay.
Thomas Matika, you have a comment?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to say that, I've recently had I've had my bone scans and recently visited the endocrinologist to discuss some of these things. Of course, he thinks that estradiol treatment is irrational. I thought that was funny. But he's a good guy. He's a doctor. And but I just wanted to say that one thing he's doing for me, beside the bone scans, the DEXA scans, we're also using the bone biomarkers CTX and P1NP. That's a simple blood draw, and you can do those, much more easily. It doesn't require an appointment for a scan or anything like that. So it's just something else that you can add to your bag of tricks to look at what is actually going on with the breakdown and the buildup of the bone. Those are CTX and P1NP bone biomarkers.
All right. Thank you. That be very helpful. Yeah, adds to my list of things to talk to my MO about in January.
You know, sometimes they don't want to do it. I don't know why. One of my doctors, my oncologist, she just kind of, didn't want anything to do with it. But when I went to the endocrinologist, he brought it up. He wants to do it. So I was really glad about that.
Oh, good. Well, my medical oncologist, I don't think shies away from cutting edge stuff. I'm treating with Sam Denmead, so I haven't brought it up with him yet. I'll see how he reacts.
Yeah, good luck with that.
All right. I'll let you guys know what he says.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Lee, thank you. Thank you, Thomas. And how about we try and start up again with Tom Miller? Are you there,
Well,
Tom?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I've had a tremendous amount of difficulty connecting. Jim Marshall was so helpful in finally getting me connected. So this is my first session. I think I watched part of a recorded video of your group from a week or two ago and found the discussion very, very informative. Do you want me to kind of go over my story?
Yes, that's what we're going to do right now. So,
Okay.
How old are you, Tom?
So I'm 74. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer on a biopsy in January of this year. I was a Gleason 4+4, and I had my dad died of metastatic prostate cancer, and so had been monitoring my PSA since I was about 40, and there was just a gradual progressive increase. And I think in 2019, I had a biopsy that was negative. In 2022, I had another biopsy.
Hold on a second, Tom. Let Len guide you through the questions because we do them in a certain order. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right, Tom. So what was your PSA at the time they decided to do a biopsy?
The first time it was just above 4. And that was in 2019, and that biopsy was negative.
Negative, okay. And the subsequent biopsies?
Yeah, the second biopsy was in 2022, and my PSA at that point, I think, was about 6.5.
Okay.
And then at that point, I'd kind of been advised to just kind of chill out a bit. And anyway, in the end of 2024, my PSA had gone from about 8 up to 14, and that's when I had an MRI that showed a IRAD5 area, and then I had a biopsy, and that showed the 4+4 Gleason score.
Okay. Was there anything unusual in your pathology report, like intraductal?
There was perineural invasion.
Right.
There was cancer only involved 2 out of the, I think, 12 or 14 samples. Yeah, and so I think those were the main features.
No intraductal, no cribriform?
Excuse me, Len.
Not on the biopsy. After I had the prostatectomy, they did comment about cribriform.
Okay, go ahead, Jim. You had a comment?
I've got his stuff here, okay, and on the first one, it is a 4+3/7 that essentially occupies pattern 4, 70%, 60% with a tertiary 5. okay, into 4
That
plus
was the
3.
that Jim, that was the biopsy that the cribriform and the nest of that was in the histology of the prostatectomy sample, not the biopsy that was done in January.
Okay, but there is
Hold on a second, Jim Marshall.
Well,
Hold on a
okay.
second. Are you saying that you were a 4+4 and then your post-surgical pathology graded you down to a 4+3+5? Is that correct?
No.
It was no. My understanding that the biopsy for which the cancer was found, there was one of the areas that was a 4+3, and another area that was a 4+4, and as my understanding, whichever one is the highest, that's what you are.
Right. And what was your post pathology RP? Because that's what's important to us now.
Right. So then in March of this past of 25, I had a radical prostatectomy, and that showed a 4+4 with a nest of 4+5, some cribriform findings. There was some extra prostatic extension in the left lateral area, but the margins of the resection were clear.
Okay, so let's just clarify this for Len. And please, if you could just sort of go to the end point, because that would help us a little bit with a lot of people here. So
okay.
your post-pathology, your post-surgical pathology determined you were a 4+5 and you had extra prostatic extension and you were cribriform. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Len.
Okay, so you had the prostatectomy, and did they also give you any hormone therapy?
No, not yet. And so prior to the time that I had the prostatectomy, I had a PSMA scan that showed a single area in the left. Some people called it obturator area. Other radiology people called it perirectal. And so during the course of the surgery, that there was particular attention to that area, as well as the bilateral lymph node sampling. And all of that was negative for tumor, including the area that supposedly lit up on the PSMA scan. There was no cancer found in that area. Then 3 months post surgery, I had a follow-up PSA test. At the time of surgery, or right before that, my PSA was around 14. It was detectable at 0.13 3 months post-surgery. And so that was in June of this year. And there's been differences of opinion on, whether or not how to manage that. And that was one of the questions that I was interested in getting feedback from this group, in that some of the ones I've been followed both at the Walter, I'm retired Navy, I've followed primarily at Walter Reed, and then I've also been seen at Georgetown. And there's a little bit, seemingly a bit of a difference. The Walter Reed folks are, saying, go ahead and get started from a ADT standpoint and plan on radiation. The other side is basically saying, well, gee, you know, some people can stay at a low PSA for who knows how long. And so subsequent, since then, I've had two additional PSA levels, and they've right now it's at 0.15. And so that's, again, some of the recommendations I've been getting are, it would be reasonable not to start on treatment. Other folks are saying, geez, it's probably a matter of time, so, you know, sooner is better. Anyway, that's kind of one. So I haven't, the answer to your question, no, I've not started on any other therapy at this point.
Well, there's a well-known study that Rick is very fond of by a famous radiation oncologist. I think it's Dana-Farber, I'm not sure, D'Amico. And he found that post-surgery, it's best to have salvage radiation therapy if your PSA is between 0.15 and 0.25. So, you know, if you want to, if you're a risk taker, you want to hold on and see if it hits 0.25, you can do that. Or I imagine if you spoke to D'Amico, he'd tell you have salvage radiation therapy now. I don't know, Rick or John, you have any comments about that? Especially with his pathology, which is, you know, the cribriform and Gleason 9.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing I'd be doing is looking for a PSMA scan, because we want to see where this is, and we want to see if there's still something showing up in that area that they couldn't find anything during the surgery. You know, they were poking around. And, you know, the other thing is that with the options that we're reading about now with the metastasis directed therapy, it opens up other avenues as well. So have they
so toward the end, I did, after the PSA was detectable, I did have a follow-up PSMA scan in July, which showed continued uptake in that one specific area that was there prior to the surgery. But there were no additional, that was the only place that lit up either time.
Okay, and what was your PSA when you had that surgery, when you had that PSMA scan? What was your PSA level?
My PSA was 0.13.
0.13. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, and it's interesting. It's remarkable that it showed up at 0.13. So it means it must have been pretty strong and pretty aggressive in that area, especially since that's an area they looked at before. And I mean, that would incline me not to mess around. That would incline me to do treatment right now. Is Chestnut the surgeon?
He is who I have seen primarily at Walter Reed. My surgery actually was done at Georgetown because they had some difficulty with the operating rooms at Walter Reed due to some mechanical stuff. So they were doing surgery elsewhere for a while at one of the other hospitals, and I kind of didn't want the away team working on me, and so anyway, I went to Georgetown for the surgery. But Dr.
Okay, so let me try and understand something here, Tom, if I may.
Sure.
Your quarterback doctors right now, the doctor at Walter Reed that's calling the shots for you is the surgeon Chestnut, is that right?
That is correct.
And at Georgetown, are you seeing a surgeon, a radiation oncologist, or a medical oncologist?
I have seen, well, the surgeon who did the surgery is at Georgetown, and I have followed up with him post-surgically.
Who is calling the shots? Who is calling the shots?
Chestnut.
Okay, Chestnut's calling the shots at Walter Reed, and who's
Correct.
calling the shots at Georgetown?
Kowalczyk.
And what type of doctor is he?
He is the head of urology or surgical oncology at.
Is he a surgeon?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so you've got two surgeons who are calling the shots for you, correct?
Yes. Although at Walter Reed, they work in conjunction with radiation oncology very closely. So there's a second person, but Chestnut and the radiation oncologists are very lockstep in their recommendations.
And they're saying they think you should proceed with radiation. And the people at Georgetown, the surgeon at Georgetown is saying, wait. Is that correct?
That's more or less, yes.
Right. So, frankly, what I would do is I'd get myself over to, what's it called? Hopkins. What's that hospital? Sorry, I'm just having a senior moment. Sibley. I'd get myself to Sibley here,
okay,
because I personally am not a huge fan of Walter Reed, and I don't think they really have the expertise to treat recurrent and advanced cancer. So it's like a leftover. If they've got people who have a recurrence, they start to see them, but they don't give me that warm feeling. And I would rather see you at Sibley than I would at Walter Reed. And I would say, maybe go over and see, what's his name? The African-American radiation oncologist at Georgetown, at Sibley. His name will come to me in a sec. DeVille, thank you, DeVille. Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, DeVille. I would go over and see DeVille. Richard Fisk has his hand up, and he has a lot of experience in this area. Go ahead, Captain.
Yes, I was treated with radiation at Belvoir, and they took me down to Richmond for high-dose brachytherapy. But the follow-up is with the radiation that I have been assigned is with the radiation oncologist at Belvoir. However, on my own, based on the recommendations from the AnCan group, I got myself in to see Dr. Paller at Sibley. And I see her at the same 6-month intervals I do the radiation oncologist at Belvoir. And I kind of established a handshake with her that she's just going to stand by, and if my PSA increases to the point where she needs something something needs to be done, then I will ask her to step in based on, or rather than probably complete recurrence treatment at Belvoir. I just feel a lot better with Dr. Paller in my corner and kind of on standby.
Yeah, so I was actually going to get to that. I mean, I would see Curtis DeVille, who's the radiation oncologist at Sibley, and Channing Palla, who's the GU medical oncologist at Sibley. So I would double team it at Sibley, Tom. And
Okay.
I think you can do that. I think that Captain Jim can help you navigate that through either Reed or the VA. But I think that would be my bet, and then see what the conclusion is between Dr. DeVille and Dr. Paller as to whether you should intervene right now and go with their consensus. And that's what I would do if it were me.
But thanks for that input. From a radiation oncology standpoint, I also had a evaluation or an opinion from Dr. Sean Collins, who used to be at Georgetown, but now he's moved on to Florida. But anyway, so I had a. Is there any experience? Is that a name that anybody has experience with?
And what did Sean Collins suggest to you?
He was more on the line of he was not real aggressive, like, man, you got to jump on this now sort of thing. He ordered a Decipher study on the tissue, which came back 93, which is fairly, significantly aggressive. I think everybody's in agreement that I'm headed toward needing ADT and radiation. The whole idea is, when is the most appropriate time to start? Is it now, or do we monitor the PSA and, as that starts to increase, to jump on it at that point?
Right.
That's where it seems like there's the differences of opinion.
Yeah. So Sean Collins was our go-to radiation oncologist in the area until he moved away.
Okay.
So we put a lot of faith in him. I still, it doesn't change my opinion at all that I would get two consults, one with Dr. Paller and one with Dr. DeVille, and see what they say. And they may well agree with Dr. Collins. And I think you need to move on to that team. You need to establish a team. Now's the right time to establish a new team. That would be my navigation advice.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
I don't think we asked you about genetic testing, Tom. Did we? Have you had either germline testing or somatic tumor cell testing?
Well, I've had a couple, some genetic stuff. After the prostatectomy, about a month, I saw the cancer geneticist, and they did an oral swab and sent that off for, a panel that included about 50 different genes, and that came back negative, with a disclaimer that, the stuff that they checked out okay, but there may be stuff they don't know about. But yeah, so I've had that. If that answers your question, I don't.
So that's part of it. So that's the germline. So it's negative. But did they look at the tissue from your biopsy from the where the tumor lesions were? Did they do a genomic study on that?
Yeah, my understanding, that's what this Decipher test was, that they took a.
Well, no, Decipher's different. I'm not talking about Decipher.
Okay, then no, they didn't, because that's the only thing that's been done post post-prostatectomy or
Yeah.
post-biopsy.
Yeah. You might want to talk to your oncologist about having that done,
Okay.
just to rule out any possible actionable mutations you may have. And I presume somebody spoke to you about diet and exercise. You're all familiar with that.
Right, and
Okay.
building up my muscle mass and eating healthy and taking care of myself, which I've been trying to do better at. Yes.
Okay. So can we move on, or do you have any more comments or questions for us?
I guess I just had one other question. This is probably coming more from my wife than me, but a friend of a friend out in California whose clinical scenario is somewhat similar to mine has decided to go to Germany. He's going to have immunotherapy, or it's my understanding that they take the tissue from the biopsy or the prostatectomy and develop antibodies to it and treat rather than using ADT and radiation to treat it immunologically. Does anybody have any thoughts or experience or know anything more about that?
Did they give you a name for the immunotherapy? Was it Keytruda, pembrolizumab?
No, I don't know it's my understanding it's done individually in that they take they take the tissue from the malignancy and on an individual basis develop antibodies directed specifically at that.
Right.
The name of the company that does that escapes me, but
it sounds like this is experimental. It's not approved by the EMEA or the FDA. So that's not something we could really comment on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think I have an idea of a similar treatment that's being done in this country. The name of it just escapes me. In fact, somebody's been talking about it this week. I think it begins with an S, something like Cyto T or Cyto. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, stick it in the chat window. Where they take your tumor and they basically develop a vaccine out of it, but it's really it's really sketchy. And is this for recurrence that he's going, or is this for primary treatment?
This is for primary treatment, as I understand it.
Yeah, well, he could save himself a whole bunch of money, come in here and give us 10% of what he's saving, and we can do it very well, because we hear about this all the time, and it's very, very rare that it has a result. Your friend in California, with the greatest respect, must have money to burn, because there are some good options in a more conventional way. And the problem is, if it doesn't work out, then he's putting himself behind the 8 ball.
That was my thought. I just thought I had asked so I can report in. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try and remember the name of this group and keep an eye on the chat window. I'll try and put it in the chat.
Rick, you're not thinking of Sipuleucel T, which is
No, that's ancient. No, I'm thinking they did a presentation on in Brad Power's cancer labs, and they wanted to engage with us, if you remember, and we said, okay, well, we'll
Yeah, we just lost you, Rick.
Actually, he was muted.
No, my computer is muting me. It's switching my mic. It's making me crazy. If you remember, Len, you said you didn't, you and I think John said we didn't want to meet with them if they couldn't give us a doctor to speak to. Do you remember? And they never came up with a doctor. Was it Sync T? Was it called Sync T? Was that it?
Doesn't ring a bell with me.
Yeah.
All right, let us move along here. We've still got a lot of guys to get to. Eric James, you are up.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could possibly get some feedback on my Tempus report results.
Okay, what have you got?
Well, if you want, I could maybe post a list of their 7 variants they found.
You want to put it in the chat?
Yeah, I thought I'd try that. And also on the report, a couple things it says is MSI stable and tumor mutational burden ratio 2.1.
Okay, so that means you're not a candidate for immunotherapy.
Okay. Yeah, and then the list is in the chat now.
Okay. Well, PTEN is highly significant. Let's see what else you got. CDKN2B, yeah, I believe that might be actionable. But the only thing here I see that's definitely actionable is the PTEN. There is a drug for that. I think it's been approved. I'm not sure. Capivasertib, any John or Rick?
I don't think so yet.
Not approved yet. Okay.
I'm not really sure, but they sure were pushing it at the last GU ASCO meeting that we went to, but I didn't think there was anything available yet. Do you know Rick? Or Rick's gone?
Okay.
So it was. They're still pushing it. Wasn't it with capivasertib?
Yes.
Wasn't that the PTEN? So
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
There are 3 or 4 bad actors, Eric, and unfortunately, PTEN is one of those bad actors. If you only have one of them, it's very manageable. If you have more than one of them, it's not so manageable. So there's a bunch of people in this group who have PTEN. It's I think it's AstraZeneca who's really been pushing that they have a way to deal with it with this capivasertib, but we're not there yet. They're still working on it. Tempus can actually be a positive. There are situations where Tempus can actually help. PIK3CA, I forget the relevance of PIK3. What's the relevance of PIK3CA, Dr. John?
Can't remember. Have to look on my list.
Yeah, I have to look at it too.
Sorry, this is Darren. I know a little about PIK3CA. There are a couple drugs in development for just basically like the PAM pathway.
Okay.
And so I know one in particular called gedatolisib is being looked at prostate cancer. I don't know if anything's approved for it, but there are some inhibitors in the space that may be of interest.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking along those same lines. I'd have to do some, but there's something going on with PIK3CA. By the way, RJ, it is SYNC-T. I had just about figured that out myself, RJ, through looking at some correspondence. And Tom Miller, if you look up SyncT, they're trying to do the same thing as what this guy's doing in Germany, SyncImmune. So you may be able to save him a trip and put him in touch with SyncT, and he can do the same thing here without. He can still give us 10% of his savings on his travel.
How
Mr.
do you spell
Tempus,
that?
it's in the chat window. Open the chat window. Are you on the computer yet, Tom, or are you or not?
I can see the chat window. Yes.
Okay. So if you look at the bottom, SyncT, syncimmune.com, that's what you need. That's what you need to follow up with. You see it there, right at the bottom?
I do.
Underneath
Thanks.
Eric's list. So to go back to Eric's list, and then that CDKN2A, I think, is a HRR mutation. But the biggest concern I would have looking at most of those is that, that PTEN player, which is going to make treatment a little difficult. At the same time, do we have any PTEN people on here who are doing well and who haven't had aggravation from PTEN?
Also on the drop-down menu for that PTEN variant, there's a line that says variant allele fraction 24.9%. Would anybody know what that means?
Come on, Dr. John, show your chops here. This is where it gets technical and I get confused.
It means that for every 100 gene pairs, the abnormal allele is found in 20, whatever you said, % of them.
Okay.
Yeah, my recollection is that the drug they have for PTEN, which I think they're putting it before the FDA for approval. Like Dr. John said, it's not approved yet. But I think my recollection is that the efficacy was kind of pretty modest. They used it with abiraterone, and the side effects weren't pleasant. They're pretty serious.
All right, I'm going to start fingering people here because I did think that Joel Blanchette had P10, and I just checked, and he does have P10. So Joel, I was like trying to set you up there to come in and say, I've managed my P10 very well. That's what I was hoping you would say. Are you with us, Joel?
Yes, I'm with you, and I did have P10. Whether or not I have it still, I don't know, because the last 3-4 Tempus reports that I've had from Dr. E did not show any P10 at all. So as you know, these things can go in and out with time. So I'm hoping that the P10 has dropped out because I still have the TP53 to deal with.
Yes, that's right.
Also, I see what Darren put in the chat. It looks like it's talking about a treatment. It says in clinical trials for metastatic castration resistant. I wonder, is the treatment also done with sensitive or not?
So I'm an investor. The company is Celcuity, which makes this gedatolisib. And this trial is early stage and is just in castration resistant.
Okay.
I'm assuming, further along, if they're successful there, they'll pursue earlier stages. This drug actually has been just announced remarkable results in a phase 3 breast cancer trial that has really attracted a lot of interest, but the prostate research is much earlier stage.
Okay.
All right, Eric, you good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark N., you are up next.
Okay, I am here. Okay, just a quick update. I am in the process of deciding on surgery versus radiation. I'm leaning towards radiation with hormone therapy. I've got my nomogram results. Thank you, Rick and group, for saying that. And I think I'm making the right decision based on the nomogram and everything else I've looked at. Any suggestions or insights would be much appreciated.
Can you give us your background, Mark?
Background,
Have
specifically.
you had primary treatment yet?
No, I haven't had any treatment yet. I got diagnosed in August.
And what was your Gleason?
4+3 with cribriform and introductal.
Okay. Well, there's the perennial question again. What's better, radiation or surgery for cribriform and introductal?
Well,
I think the latest is radiation. Is that right, Rick? Didn't you talk about a trial that showed radiation might be superior?
Yeah, but you had to have, wasn't there a marker in there in that trial? I can't remember what the marker was. You're right, that showed that radiation would be much better. Oh, damn, what was the marker? Anybody remember? This was just recently, like in the last 2 or 3 reminders. Nobody coming in to help me here.
Sorry, no.
All right, I have to look. Let me see if I can find it.
When you say marker, what exactly do you mean? What kind of test is that from?
There was some sort of biomarker that suggested that you were much better off if you showed this biomarker to have radiation rather than to have surgery. And it's been in the reminder in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. I did have my okay. Well, if you think of it, let me know later in an email or something. Because I've got my color test. I've got those results back. Consult with them on Wednesday. I'm waiting on Decipher and Artero, waiting on those 2 test results to come back. I've got
So the question is, what again, because you're IDCP, it's tougher to really determine how relevant the nomogram is, because the nomogram doesn't take IDCP into effect. But even without that, what was the likelihood of that surgery alone would be successful, Mark?
Okay, it says 56% chance of success with surgery.
Well, that's not very good. It's kind of a toss of a coin.
Right, that's kind of what I thought. So that's why I decided, well, that's why I think I'm deciding to go radiation. And this is coming from something Rick said on 1 or 2 couple of meetings ago.
And the actual is probably significantly less than 56% since it doesn't take into account the cribriform pathology.
Okay.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll all take a look at that reminder Rick sent, and we'll have to get back to you on that, Mark. Anything else we can help you with?
Let me look real quick. I don't think so. I've got Prolaris results in, color test. I'll just follow up with the doctors on that. I think I'm good unless anybody has any suggestions or insights.
Anybody else have any input here for Mark? Jim Marshall.
Go ahead, Jim.
Since you're going to have, I believe, ADT, a testosterone test. up front?
I have not heard anything about that.
Well, ask for it. Well, not ask for it. Tell them, I want one up front.
Okay, what will that tell me?
That will tell you before you start essentially ADT what it is. So at the time you stop ADT, you will know where hopefully it should be. If you
Okay,
don't, you'll have no idea, like me.
thank you.
Are you a veteran?
I am not.
Oh, okay. I had to ask.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, Mark, thank you. How about you, Steve Lodge? You're up next. Yeah, Larry Schula has a good idea too. Get a baseline DEXA scan, Mark.
Okay, thanks. Baseline of a DEXA scan?
Yeah, the thing, these are, the DEXA scan is important, the testosterone is important if you're going to proceed with hormone therapy. If you're not going to proceed with hormone therapy, it's a lot less important. Now, if you are going to proceed with hormone therapy and they're only going to give you 6 months of hormone therapy, it's also a lot less important. I would say that if you're only going to do 6 months, I probably wouldn't even bother with a DEXA scan if it were me. If you're going to do 12 months, 9 months, 12 months, a year, yes, it's important. Is the testosterone level important? Well, it is, because you need to know the baseline before you lose your testosterone, so you know when you've gotten back to normal.
It's a good point, Rick.
Rick, you yourself had were osteoporotic before you were even diagnosed. So
yeah,
it's not a bad idea to get the DEXA scan.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean that's exceptional. I mean, I sort of get bothered when people dive in with all these tests. Oh, you should get this, or you should get the other. For most people, they aren't in that situation, and unless you're going to have long-term hormone therapy, a DEXA scan is not. It really isn't called for. Yeah, for me it was, but I was doing 28 months of hormone therapy though.
Okay, I'm in for so far. Dr. Tran suggested SBRT with a short course of hormone therapy, 6 months.
There you go. So, I would say go with Dr. Tran, go with the 6 months, and you can listen to Len and say, look, you might find something if you think you've got signs of osteoporosis. I didn't even know what to look for when I got diagnosed, and I was osteoporotic, but that's an exception. I don't think we should be doing these tests on the basis of exception, Len. That's why we have such an outrageous and lousy system here, because it's so expensive and everybody wants all these extra tests. Because we can.
Let us go ahead with Steve Lodge.
Yes, hello. I've got an appointment with both my radiation oncologist and GU medical oncologist this week, and got some new lab reports and wanting some insight. I'll summarize a little bit. I was diagnosed de novo metastatic in December 2021, 12 of 12 cores positive, Gleason 4+5, PSA prior to biopsy. 4+5, PSA prior to biopsy of 4.5. I was treated immediately with Lupron and abiraterone. My PSA became undetectable for about 2 years and then started to rise. This last spring and early summer, I've had some radiation therapy, which did bring my PSA down some. And subsequently, it started to go back up over the last 4 months, most recently up to 0.30. It was at a low of 0.11 after the radiation. I've had just 2 PSMA scans, one in February of 22 and one in January of 25. Thinking that it might be an appropriate time to get another PSMA. If I've got any active mets, I'd like to do a little whack-a-mole radiation therapy. And yeah, wanting people's thoughts of what I should, consider, what I should push for.
I would say it's 0.3. That's where you are right now. Is that right?
Yes.
And your PSA never was more than 4.5?
Correct.
All right, so you don't produce much PSA. It could be fruitful to do a PSMA PET scan at 0.3 to see what's going on. Now, I was producing much more PSA than you, also a Gleason 9, 4+5. And over the years, I seemed to be producing less PSA. And at my last PSMA PET scan, at 0.1, at PSA of 0.17, I had about 6 or 7 metastases at that low level. So it's worth, I think it's worth pushing for.
And thoughts on perhaps how I could pursue genomic testing. I had some based on my original biopsy back in 2021, but that the sample was contaminated, so some of the results were considered invalid. And yeah, I don't have any tissue to test at this point in time. Any thoughts on how I could get an idea of my genomic situation?
Well, if the PSMA PET scan doesn't show any lesions that can be biopsied, you could always try a liquid biopsy. Anybody, Rick or John or anybody else?
Yeah, it's worth a shot, but as we've discovered recently, a couple of times, the liquid biopsies don't seem as sensitive. These tiny little bits of tumor that you apparently have growing somewhere are probably not shedding a whole lot of tumor DNA or tumor cells, but still can be done. You're concerned that you might have a new mutation to explain your hormone insensitivity.
Yeah, I see that as a possibility. However, I've no idea whether I have mutations or not because of the failed earlier test.
Yeah. Might or might not get useful information out of it is about the best I can say.
Okay.
But the PSA is steadily creeping up. I don't know if doubling time is worth anything at these low numbers, but it's only a couple of months if it is a valid biomarker. So I I agree with Len. I think it's worth looking again.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that'll be my primary focus of trying to get that done, and then relatively soon.
And maybe talk to your primary care doc about that glucose level and see whether you need to be on something for pre-diabetes or diabetes.
Yeah, I had shared some details with Dr. John prior to the meeting. So, all right, thank you much.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dr. John. Let's go to Dan in Schenectady.
I'm good. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Dennis Correa.
Hey, I'm just thinking about taking another drug holiday in my intermittent treatment process here. And currently on Eligard and darolutamide, and thinking of just getting the break from the Eligard and staying on the darolutamide. And I've been searching Dr. Google for any sense of information about that type of situation, and I've been unable to find anything. So if anybody has any information about a darolutamide monotherapy that I could look into and read, I'll consider that.
I can only offer you my personal anecdote, but I
Yeah,
don't have.
I know you've been doing it.
I've been doing it for 4 years intermittently. I haven't had any ADT since 2021. And when I'm on any hormonal therapy, it's darolutamide. And it's, for me, it works, but that's just anecdotal. There just aren't any studies out there on this, Dennis, sorry to say.
Yeah. I was hoping, I just thinking it's my fatigue and so forth is partially related to that Eligard more than the darolutamide. I mean, when I switched from Abby to the darolutamide, it was a major difference from a lot less side effects.
Yeah.
With the darolutamide. So, and
Yeah.
I don't mind taking it. So I would stay on that. Maybe I'd get a longer break. Because last year I got about 7 months or so before it started to rise.
David Muslin is another darolutamide monotherapist. Go ahead, David.
You're muted, David.
Hi, Dennis. I've been following Len's lead, and also it's been working pretty good for me. The only thing I warn you is I've experienced some gynecomastia with single dose darolutamide. So I just give you a heads up, so you may want to take a blast or two of radiation to the breast, so you don't grow boobs like me.
Yeah, I've got a minor case of it. On occasion, the nipples get sore, but it's not objectionable from my standpoint at this point. So.
Well, it may get worse though if you drop the Lupron or Eligard, whichever one you're on, and you're only on the darolutamide mono. So I would talk to your doctor about getting a couple of rounds of radiation to the breast.
Okay.
It's proven to be very safe.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know how many gray or what it is, or?
No, I don't. But it's usually just 2 sessions, 3 at the most. I don't know, David, how many did you had it done, didn't you, David?
I never had it done. Never had it done. I ended up with gynecomastia surgery, which turned out to be, which was great. But then when I got on monotherapy, I didn't think they'd grow, and they grew back. So went through all that surgery for nothing, but it's okay. I'm alive and vertical and happy.
Okay. Rick, go ahead. You have your hand up?
Yeah, Herb Chandler, Herb Courtney, I should say, is also on darolutamide monotherapy. Dr. Reddick put him on it, and he's doing very well by it. So, he's another person you could talk to. So, just like Len and David have said, we've got a bunch of people that anecdotally who have done well on it.
Okay.
And if you're willing to try it, that's what our suggestion would be.
Okay.
Whether Sting will do it, I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just as another thing, I just celebrated my 80th birthday last week.
Oh,
happy birthday. It's a great milestone.
It is.
You probably never thought you'd make it to 80, right?
I
Dennis?
never did. No, 10 years ago when I started all this nonsense,
I will say that I think Herb Courtney's 85 or 86.
Okay. Good.
So
And Jack, I don't know if Jack is still with us. I think Jack is 86.
Yeah.
81. 81.
81.
Oh, Captain Jim, 81. A
Okay.
mere child.
No, you're a youngster, Captain Jim. 81 doesn't get you anything in this group, man.
Just a side note on that thing I mentioned before about the parotid gland in the salivary gland with salivary gland parotid tumor.
Yeah.
Got some good news on that. Talked with an expert who seems to be, from the literature that I could find, about the best guy. That he's been doing it for quite a few years. He's done over 2,700 surgeries on these things. He's really quite familiar with it. And we had a video conference with him, and he went over my and says he didn't think it was that risky and that I can wait, and we'll kind of watch and wait in 3 months, another MRI in 3 months, and we'll see what it's doing. So it's good news because he's up in Rochester, Minnesota, so not crazy about traveling Rochester, Minnesota this time of year.
Well, that sounds good.
Dennis, anytime I ever began a session of daro monotherapy, I just said to myself, I'll try it. If the PSA goes up, I'll add the ADT. So far, I never had to do it. So the way I look at it, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. I just wonder if there is anything out there that it's been documented and tested. I know there's some of the latest trials they were doing it in combination. It mentioned stuff about a monotherapy darolutamide, but there wasn't anything in there, no information about it. So
yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was some kind of trial that Bayer ran with a daro monotherapy, but the point of the trial was to demonstrate that testosterone levels don't rise as much on daro monotherapy as they do with the comparator might have been Standy. Yeah.
Len, what they told us was they were planning a monotherapy daro trial, but I haven't heard anything about it, but they were planning it.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's see. We've got 15 minutes left and still 4 guys to come to. So, Joe Commander, go ahead. Joe, you're muted. There you
Yeah,
go.
I just saw that. I can't remember whether I asked this before. I don't think so. So you can cut me off if I did. I've started taking Nubeca. Been doing it for about 2 months now. As a secondary drug, I'm taking, no, I'm sorry. No, that's right. And I'm taking Orgovix for my main drug, ADT. And I've been doing that for a year. I found it rather taxing on me, and I'm not trying to complain to you guys, but the doctor suggested maybe we could reduce the dose, so cut in half the Nubeca. And I just wanted to know whether, I mean, I don't want to do that if it's, risking less effectiveness, though it's an attractive solution in other ways. So I just wondered what people thought.
I'll comment first and then I'll go to Dennis. So it's likely that it's the Orgovix that's causing the fatigue, not the Nubeca.
Okay.
But I can tell you this, when I was on Nubeca, darolutamide, I cut the dose in half and it still kept my PSA under wraps. So once again, you have to be willing to experiment a little bit. You don't even have to, well, I'm not going to say that.
So you just did that on your own?
Yes, I did. But I don't recommend it. Talk to your doctor.
Right.
Make sure he understands what you're doing. And,
okay.
If it's not working, then go back on full dose.
Right.
Yeah, my doc actually started me on a 300 twice a day with meals. Once with breakfast and one with dinner.
Right.
And it started lowering my PSA, kept working, and said just stay on it. Never thought we were going to have to go up to the full dose, but it worked, got me all the way down on non-detect, so kept me there.
Okay, and Larry Fish?
Yeah, I had a somewhat of the opposite experience. I think I've been on at least 3 years, maybe 4 years, I guess. I've been on Nubeca, on darolutamide. And I was originally on 600 in the morning and 600 in the evening. But I found that when I took 600 in the morning, I had to lie down. It was very hard for me to get to work. I was really fatigued. And so I cut the morning down to 1 pill, and then I cut the evening down to 1. So I basically cut it in half. And that was okay for a while. But after 6 months, my PSA started going up. And when it reached 0.6, I think I had a PSMA PET scan. The MRI didn't show anything, but the PET scan showed new growth outside my prostate and my T6, and I had to go in for SBRT radiation, and took out the primary and took out the T6, and I went back on the full dose, and I've been on that full dose, and I'm afraid to go back to half doses unless I have like a problem with diarrhea or real fatigue. Sometimes I'll cut it back for a day or two. And I talked to my doctor, Dr. Audio, about what we like to call de-escalation, which means that you start cutting the dose down and see how it goes. But I'm doing okay, so I'm reluctant to do that because of what happened 2 years ago.
And Larry, was that monotherapy or were you taking ADT?
No, I was still taking Lupron. I looked at the idea of switching. After I went through the extra metastasis and the radiation, I just was able to tolerate everything, sort of used to it. So I'm holding on undetectable. That's my heterodox story.
Okay, we need everybody's opinion, experience. Joe, you got to make up your mind here. Talk to your doctor, decide.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Do.
Yeah, thank you for your contributions to the discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, we got a couple of hands raised. Let's see. Dr. Jack, go ahead.
This will take a second. Larry Fish, I'd like to ask you a question. I've been marveled by the things you've said over the past few weeks, especially last week. Would you kindly tell me your age?
77.
Impressive. Thank you.
And Rick.
Baby son.
I have been busy sleuthing here for Mark Nicholson, trying to recall what that biomarker was that indicated that radiation was going to be more successful than surgery that I wrote about. And I found it. The answer was, and some of you will remember it, I think now, that if you had cribriform disease, that the results of recurrence were much better with radiation than they were with surgery. So Mark Nicholson, are you still with us?
I am right here.
And do you have cribriform? Did they see cribriform?
Cribriform and IDC, introductory.
Okay, so that's what I thought. So the now, when was it? It was probably somewhere. So I wrote to Howard Walensky and said I just put this in the reminders at the beginning of November. So it's probably from the beginning of November. I'll see if I can find it. But it was from a study. It was a study that was done, and the rate of recurrence, if you had cribriform, was 25% with surgery and 8% with radiation.
Okay. So it's 25% with surgery. 8%, I'm just typing this out. 8% with radiation. Okay, thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
But Rick, you didn't say what the biomarker. What's the biomarker?
Cribriform.
There is no biomarker. It was cribriform. We knew that all along, right?
Yeah, there is a biomarker. The biomarker is if they see cribriform, that's a biomarker.
I know, but we knew that up front. We knew Mark had cribriform.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was waiting
but what we didn't
I
know.
was waiting for P10, P53, something.
I know what you are waiting for, but cribriform is a biomarker. And what we had forgotten, which Len very kindly reminded me about, thank you, Len, was that we'd noticed that if you have cribriform pattern, you're a lot better off doing radiation than surgery.
Okay.
So there you go.
Hey, while we're on this real quick, Dr. Tran mentioned that I could start hormone therapy at the same time I started radiation. And that's the first time I'd heard that. And I asked him about it. And he said their studies show that it's just as effective to start them both at the same time versus starting hormones a month earlier, 6 weeks earlier in radiation.
Yeah, we've heard this as well. I don't know the study, though, that it doesn't need to be neoadjuvant. I would suspect that if you're going to start it at the same time, it has to be an antagonist and not an agonist, though. Thoughts, gents? Richard Fisk.
There we go. My doc started me on not Lupron, but the predecessor to Lupron, what you take first, and abiraterone. About 6 weeks before I started radiation, his thought was reducing the size of the prostate and the enclosed tumor, which in fact was the case. Had 2 MRIs that showed that both were reduced by about 40%. So there was less cancer to have to deal with.
Yeah.
By starting the ADT 6 weeks ahead of the radiation.
Well, that was always the traditional thinking, but what Tran is saying is that there's new studies now that are saying, well, maybe you can start it at the same time. And I'm of your ilk that you start it before. But there's some more modern recent thinking, but I frankly don't know what it's based on, that you can start it at the same time. Do anyone else have any information on this?
No, I don't, but I kind of agree with your sentiments, Rick, and Richards, that it makes sense to, why not shrink the prostate, shrink your targets before you start the radiation. I don't see that it does any harm.
Well, what I would do, Mark, is ask Tran for the new trial and then share it with us. And let's take a look at the trial and see if it's there are some special aspects to it.
No, there's clearly something that is not within the what we would normally look at as logical, that you want to reduce what you're having to deal with before you start. There must be some good reason to not do that.
Right. So,
and if I'm doing SBRT, I'll be done with that in 2 weeks. So, yeah, I need to get some more information on this.
Well, I think you need, if Tran is very well respected, he's now heading up RadOnc at MD Anderson. I think if he's got studies that say you can start it at the same time, and I'm assuming he wants to put you on Orgovix, is that correct?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, it has to be, if he's starting at the same time, it has to be an antagonist. I can't believe he's going to boost your testosterone. But I don't know. But I think you need to see what, I think you need to see exactly what the study is that he's basing this advice. And if you go back, if you want to see the cribriform thing, it's in the reminder for the meeting of November the 11th, and it's titled Radiate That Cribriform Disease. So it's the second time I've had to say this today, but I will say it. You guys have to read our reminders. There's a lot of great stuff in those reminders, and a lot of times they fall by the wayside. And if it wasn't for people who did read it, like Len, who reminded me, because I don't remember what I wrote, so that's useless. That part is useless. We wouldn't even find this. Here's the reference to the, I think it's a study out of the UK. I think it's a study out of the UK that came up with this. Oh no, I don't know. I'm getting a redirect notice here. Oh, yep. Here we go. Yes, a secondary analysis of the PROTECT randomized clinical trial. It was a study from the UK. And here's the link. because I'm in a generous mood. I won't make you do that. Yeah.
No, Rick, actually, I was not in this group yet. I was still in the low intermediate
Oh,
risk
excuses.
Yeah.
Okay, but there is. Hold on, I just sent it to the. But yes, there it is now to everyone. But it it's truly important because we do get a bunch of guys with cribriform and they are trying to figure out what they should do. And if in fact the research says if you've got cribriform disease, you're way better off doing radiation than surgery, then it becomes a bit of a no-brainer. And I would say 25% recurrence rate versus 8% recurrence rate means that's significant.
Yes,
so
I
there
appreciate this.
It's out of JAMA network. And I did have it saved, but it didn't. There was a flaw in the way I was saving it, so I'm resaving it again now. And Dr. Jack, you can decide if cribriform should be considered a biomarker or not.
It's all your call, Rick. I'm not going to decide.
Would argue it's a cell morphology, not a biomarker, but let's not go there. And by the way, Rick, you reminded me of something that I wrote that I had completely forgotten about, which was the luminal versus basal cell prostate cancer. I don't know how in the world you dug that up.
Well, hopefully your next person up is Darren, because Darren wants to talk about that.
Actually, my next person up is Gary Martin, and then Darren. So, Gary, go ahead.
Okay, well, keep that basal and luminal in mind, because we'll be coming to it shortly.
Okay. Meanwhile, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah. Couple of quick updates and summary. Diagnosed back in June, PSA 62. The Gleason 5+4, 9 showed 6 nodes involved, 3 bone spots, and local invasion. Triplet therapy for 5 months now. Completed the chemo a month ago. And I've got some elevated liver enzymes, and oncologists suggested stopping the Nubeca for a week. So they're going to check those on Wednesday. We'll see what that picture looks like. And then on Friday, I have a consult with Dr. Smulewitz in Chicago, and hopefully he'll help shed some light on questions I have. Mainly being the follow-up PSMA I had a week ago. The radiologist report's not really very clear regarding the status of the local invasion. Did show that it was resolved in the seminal vesicles. But otherwise, it's not really clear. I was wondering if anybody had gotten a second opinion on a PSMA. And again, Dr. Smulewitz may be able to shed some light on it. And if an MRI would actually provide better resolution, pelvic MRI of any residual cancer.
So, Gary, is your question, has anyone had second opinions on PSMA PET scan reading?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know, has anybody done that? It's not a bad idea, but I guess we don't typically do that.
I've done it several times. It really depends on whether you trust the reader. And if the read is screwed up at once, I get very skeptical, and I put it, I send it to California or to Sloan Kettering or somebody where the reading seems more consistent. I've done that with my PSMA and my other scans.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, good to know. Yeah.
I also got a PSMA at a imaging place out of time necessity, and I have a friend who owns the radiation center, so he was able to get me in quicker, and they read it, but obviously I'm hooked in with MSK, and they're going to have a separate reading, and they were very similar in reading. There were a few little things that they both thought were benign, but were, inconclusive. But that's my only familiarity with getting a second opinion on the reading. So.
Okay, good to know. And Dr. John, you mentioned Pluvicto. I don't think I'm qualified for that until I become resistant, as I understand it. So that'll be a future consideration, I think. So that's what I had. Thank you.
Well, watch this space, Gary, because there was a trial that reported showing the use of, I think it was, and we talked about this before, and I crossed myself up last time I spoke about it, so I've got to be careful, but I think it was PSMA FORE. And PSMA4 looked at the use of Pluvicto for hormone sensitive.
Yes.
But it hasn't been approved, but it has not yet been FDA approved from what I understand. Dr.
Okay.
John, you have your hand up. Do you know a little bit more about this?
No, I don't think it has. But that doesn't mean you can't talk a doctor into doing it. Here's the situation for Gary, the way I see it. Gary had a fantastic response to triplet therapy. Nodes, bones, and primary, all massively shrunk up. He is wondering whether and how to mop up the rest. I've seen the image, and that is indeed a very bright spot in the pelvis that he's talking about. And so he's wondering, what to do now. And so this raises this question. How long after finishing docetaxel should you wait to see what the final result was? Now, he's only finished docetaxel a short time ago. My personal concern is that it's possible it might be a little too early to do any kind of mop-up operations, because I don't think we've quite yet seen the full benefit of the triplet therapy. And then once we see that, we can think about things like, okay, well, if this hot spot is in fact a pelvic lymph node that didn't get shrunk like all the other ones did by the triplet therapy, what do? Then you can say, well, should we do SBRT? Should we do 2 more docetaxel sessions since he had such a fabulous response, etc. So what do we know about how long to wait after you finish docetaxel before you can decide that you've gotten the benefit out of it? And I think it's probably several weeks.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, what do people think?
Well, first of all, who on here has done chemotherapy, and how long has it actually taken you? Do we have anybody still who did chemo, and how long did it take you? We've had plenty of people who've done chemo. I just don't know if there's anyone on tonight or still on right now that did chemo. Dennis, that was back in the day, Dennis.
Yes, and I don't remember.
I'm just looking.
Gary,
I
you're
don't.
still on hormone therapy, right?
Oh, what
Yeah.
about?
Yes, ADT.
So how do you know what's causing the continued shrinkage of lesions if he's continuing on hormone therapy?
Yeah, it could be a combination. Well, probably is. Yeah, I guess I'll do some more research on the docetaxel. I guess I understood the half-life was 4 days or something like that, and then it progressively diminishes. And
Yeah, but Gary, it's not really about the half-life. That's how long it remains in your system. The question is, how long do the cells respond for? That's
okay.
different to how long the chemo remains in your system. I mean, we don't want to get the two things confused. Radiation doesn't remain in your system, but the cystitis and the proctitis keep on giving for years and years and years and years.
Okay.
So
there's lag.
So just to take an analogy, now I think that Dr. Schmulowitz is going to be a very good person to ask this question to, because he's treated probably thousands of people with docetaxel.
Okay.
And he's going to know how long he waits. So I think you'll get a really good answer from Dr. Schmulowitz as to how long do we wait to see what it takes.
Okay. I'll put that.
Gary is still improving.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether it's from his ongoing ADT or from the docetaxel, he is still improving. And we don't have time to discuss this question tonight, but another interesting question about Gary is if there does come a time of having another therapy, he has a pretty high tumor burden, but is not MSI high. Does that mean you consider something like pembrolizumab, or does it mean that the chances of a response from pembro is not very high at all? It's another question I asked him to ask Dr.
thinks it does.
What, Rick?
Dr. Statio definitely thinks it does. I mean, she's treated people with very high tumor burdens who don't have who are not MSI high.
And they can respond still.
This is where it becomes an art and not a science.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good question. That's a good question to ask. I want to go back to the question I responded to you earlier today in writing, Gary, which is about debulking. Because I think debulking is another thing to consider, but are you a good candidate for debulking? Because originally you were certainly not oligometastatic, but now you're oligometastatic. So then it's a question, well, when they did those studies of people that would respond to debulking, and they decided, well, if you have high Mets, you're not a good, if you have high tumor volume, you're not a good candidate, but if you're oligometastatic, you are. Question is, when did they decide that? And was it right after your radiation? And again, I would be asking somebody like Dr. Schmulowitz, what do you think about debulking?
Right. Okay.
But I certainly would not be comfortable with what your Kentucky medoncs are doing and try to push you into a randomized trial, because there's no good reason for that. And I would ask a bloody medonc, what you pushing me in here for? I can get any of these therapies without being in a trial. And now you want me to go in and get one of these therapies, and I don't have any control over which one it is. Is that in my best interest? It might be in yours.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, really interesting clinical questions about when and if to step in for mop-up operations, whether debulking Rick just outlined it exactly, whether to use immunotherapy, whether to stop chemotherapy, and when it's on a roll and doing well. Really, really good questions with no clear answers.
Right.
So I'm eager to hear what Schmolowitz says as well.
Okay, great. I'll report back next week. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gary. And now we can go to Darren and see if he wants to talk about luminal versus basal and whatever else you.
It's a long story, and it's been a long time here, and I'm not even on ADT, and I'm fatigued, so I'm I'll try and keep it as short as possible. But year ago, diagnosed with stage 3 probable seminal vesicle invasion, intraductal, a lot of bad features. Decided I'm BRCA2 positive. Decided to go on a clinical trial at MSK, which was looking at olaparib and an ADT, which is a PARP inhibitor, and Lupron for 6 months prior to a RALP. Seemed to work. The MRI I had right before the surgery showed no evidence of disease. Clearly, there was a fair amount of shrinkage in the tumor, whether that's because of the PARP, which would make some sense given my mutation, or due to the ADT, unclear. Went through the RALP in April, relatively successful. Lymph nodes clear, margins clear, no incontinence, stress incontinence. When I have a touch football game I play every Sunday, and I leak a little there, but other than that, not much on that front. ED, yes, going through that now on trimix, trying to get back function. But anyways, I had undetectable PSAs for a couple months. In August, which 4 or 5 months in, I got a PSA check, and it was higher. It's gone up a few times since then, and now we're at 0.19 last check. As soon as I saw detectable PSA, I started seeing Dr. Gutman and MSK as a rad-onc, and we've been kind of discussing treatment possibilities. Now, in the trial on the Lupron, I did not do particularly well on that. I didn't have like hot flashes, but I did have significant fatigue. Obviously, I had loss of libido, and I had emotional dysregulation. I actually, it was supposed to be a 6-month cycle of the drug, and I asked the trial team, can I forgo the last month, because prior to a RALP, I'd rather be, hopefully gain a little bit of testosterone back and be in a better place, to approach the surgery, and they agreed, so that was fine. But anyways, so I was certainly leery of going back on ADT, and so we've just been discussing, and one of the things we did to try and Dr. Gutman had just come back from a conference where he said a research report had just been announced with apalutamide, but showing that for tumor types that were not luminal B, which there was no benefit to ADT with apalutamide with radiation, and because I have a basal type tumor, he was fine with me not having ADT and having the radiation. Actually, today I had a simulation. I'm scheduled to begin the treatment at the start of the new year, and I've just been, thinking more about, from the very beginning, I've kind of attacked this with high aggression. I'm the one who pursued the trial. I'm the one who, chose to basically throw everything at it. And clearly the fact that it's still here, still kicking around and gaining steam again, suggests, along with the cribriform and all the other features, that this is, not going to be easy to kill. So, maybe it doesn't makes sense for me to use this one trial, which isn't a perfect analog, and as a guide to basically decide whether to do ADT or not. Actually, I talked with, we're on a group, a BRCA mutation group from AnCan. I don't know if it's AnCan affiliated or not, but certainly Rick started it and brought this up, and Rick reached out to me and suggested I come on tonight, see what others might have to feel. And also I've reached out to both my med onc, who was in charge of the trial, Dr. McHugh, don't know if anyone familiar with him, and Dr. Gutman. And we spoke today actually after my simulation, and he admits this is not a science, and a lot of it depends on, my own kind of feelings about, quality of life versus what the goal of this treatment, whether I want to be as aggressive as possible or not. So I'm now leaning more towards getting a short duration therapy of Orgovyx, probably adjacent with the radiotherapy. Getting back to the question of, this is different because it's a different stage in terms of whether to start the hormone therapy at the same time as the radiation. He suggests, because I don't really have much tumor burden at this point. I did have a PSMA a few weeks ago that was clear, that there's really not much benefit to getting the hormone therapy in advance of the radiation. So he said if we start at the same time, it's perfectly fine. Anyway, that's the long and short of it. It's probably longer than I wanted, so I'm sorry. But I'm just seeing if anyone has thoughts about the decision that I'm facing.
Well, I'll jump in to get it rolling. There's a lot of us who have done longer term hormone therapy, either in combination or individually, in combination with other radiation types, or individually. And it's not a difficult treatment. At the same time,
did you mean the hormone therapy or the radiation?
I'm talking about the radiation. I'll get onto the hormone, but the radiation, you were asking about, what about radiation, longer term radiation treatments? They're very manageable. It's really important to exercise between them because the radiation can nail your marrow, your bone marrow. So I remember when I went through it, I tried to walk every day, half an hour or so, and I've heard from other people that really helps with the fatigue. It depends where they're radiating, what they're going to radiate, whether it's going to affect your gut. You may have to adjust your diet, but there's a lot of guys in here who can talk to you about the day-to-day of long-term radiation.
When we say long-term, we're talking, it's scheduled to be 25 doses.
Right,
Is that
25 to 45 sessions of radiation, IMRT.
Yeah.
Now, and there are other ways to do that, but I don't know if they do it at
MSK,
Memorial Sloan Kettering, but they can't. They are fractionating the SBRT, the stereo, so that they can maybe do 25 sessions in 7 or 8 sessions or something like that. But but that's something you can discuss with Gutman.
Yeah, the treatment was 20. I forget the gig rate, but it was 25 sessions.
25 sessions. So the second thing is the study, that balance study that Spratt reported, was really only about ELIDA. It wasn't about ADT. And I've got to believe that there's a difference because ELIDA is an androgen blocker that it's not even comparable to be talking about, and Len may understand this better, basal and luminal B, luminal A, luminal B basal cells in this context, versus ADT. And so I don't know how relevant it is. We do know that if you are luminal B, that a leader in the long term is not going to have much impact. Excuse me,
No.
if you are luminal B, a leader is going to have an impact. But if you're basal, the leader is not going to have an impact.
Yeah.
But again, when we talk about giving hormone therapy with radiation, it's usually not a monotherapy ARSI. So, and this study that, and I don't know why Spratt did it, was particularly around a monotherapy ARSI, and the only one he looked at was a leader, apalutamide.
Can I interrupt for just a second? Because I did ask the question, because I am curious about whether, the fact that we're talking about, I guess, what is it, I forget the terminology for Lupron and Orgovyx, but like that it's not apalutamide. He said, yes, there could be some difference, but the theory is that both drugs are trying to obviously prevent, testosterone, and that is the meaningful kind of result. So even though it's not a perfect analog, he doesn't see a reason why one would be successful and the other one wouldn't, or vice versa.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot around that, because the Alida doesn't stop the testosterone in your body. All the Alida does is it blocks the testosterone from getting to the cancer cells. So, the functions are different. I mean, the person to really ask, if you want to ask, is Spratt. He'll respond to you.
Mm-hmm.
Send a note to Dan Spratt. He loves this stuff, and ask him, well, what do you think the difference is? And if you're basal, but if it were me, I would not go against years and years of experience that we have, where we know that adding a certain amount of hormone therapy to radiation makes a significant difference. There's so much evidence on that. How much? That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And the study that Spratt and Kishan just did suggests 6 months should do it. You don't need to be on for more than 6 months with your 4+3. If you were 5+4, it might be 18 months.
Yeah.
But you're 4+3.
I actually was downgraded at the surgery to 3+4, but
3+4, even better. But we don't again know whether the BRCA changes that.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to be conservative, I would say I would add 6 months of Orgovyx to my radiation. So those are the two big things. What do other folks have to say about this? If you were in Darren's shoes, would you be adding a little bit of hormone therapy or not?
I'd like to address a different problem. This used to be a solid rule dealing with prostate cancer, and I imagine it still is, but maybe I'm wrong. They always said that if you had any incontinence at all, and you subsequently have radiation therapy, you are locking in that incontinence. It's not going away. So that's maybe you want to postpone the radiation until your incontinence is gone, maybe with the Kegel exercises or whatever.
I mean, to be fair, I don't have any pads, or literally it's only when I play football and I like make a, some sort of move I shouldn't be doing at my age anyway, and like have like a little teeny leakage. I mean, it is not a day-to-day issue at all. Yeah, I am obviously more concerned about whether I'm going to take, because I'm just starting to get a little bit of activity, erectile activity through use of Viagra and Trimix off and on, and I am a little bit concerned, although it's low on the priority scale, but that undergoing radiation at this point plus hormone therapy just sets me back into the Stone Age in terms of that as a part of my life, which is what it is, but and I do have higher priority stuff, but it matters. So that's why we waited. I mean, even when I was at my first detection was 0.05, then I went to 0.08, then I went 0.14. We were waiting to try and give me as much time as possible post-surgery to kind of help, heal, especially because PSMA was clear and relatively speaking, still fairly low numbers. But it's obviously growing, and the trend is, we don't want to risk this jumping ship, and I think we're all aboard the idea of radiation. And that was my other question. Most of you guys have already been through that, or a lot of you have. And is there anything aside from the daily exercise that you would recommend in terms of managing some of those short-term side effects?
Well, before we jump to that, Darren,
yeah.
I would agree with Rick that 6 months of hormone therapy is not going to have any permanent effects on your ED, particularly if you're taking Viagra and Trimix while you're on the hormones. That'll protect you from atrophy of the penile tissues. So I would agree with Rick. The 6 months should be just fine. But to your other question, I open it up to the other folks.
David has his hand up.
Sorry.
David, yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, the question I have is for Darren, or is for everybody, is with the PSA as low as it is, and PSMA is clean, and he wants to, and you talked about it, Darren. Do we want to deal with the PSA number, or do we want to look at quality of life? Should he wait a while? It's the question I really want to throw out. Or do you think he should jump in and get the radiation behind him? That's my question. And it's really about quality of life. Because I'm in the same spot you are right now, but I don't have a BRCA issue.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, and I think it is somewhat personal, I understand sooner the better. Again, I've had my cancer attacked with a PARP inhibitor, ADT for 6 months or 5 months, and then surgery, and it's still kind of there. And it's whatever it started at, it was undetectable. Now, I am hopeful that there's nothing else going on, that it really is prostate related, because at some point it was undetectable, even if it was for a couple months. So I'm assuming the activity remains in the prostate bed, but I don't want to see it kind of jump. I mean, to me, this is kind of like my maybe a chance to still have. I mean, my goal with the surgery was hopefully have a long remission period. I have the BRCA2. I assumed at some point it was very likely to come back. I was hoping for 5 years, not 5 months. But here we are, and I just say, okay, it's weakened, but it's growing back. Wouldn't it behoove me, just from a logical standpoint, to attack it while it's still kind of fighting to gain momentum versus letting it gather steam? I mean, that's just the way I kind of look at it from a layman point of view. And it felt like the doctor was in alignment with that. Just his idea was, even when I was at 0.14, he said, I could move forward. I could order this. I'd feel comfortable knowing that this is indeed cancerous activity and it's probably in your prostate bed. Let's get it. But given what you're going through from the surgery, waiting is perfectly fine. He said basically the risk is infinitesimal at this point. But as we get closer to 0.2, I think he's feeling a little bit antsier, as am I.
What's your doubling time, Darren?
I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I had my August that was the first detectable, and it was 0.05, I think, and now it's 0.19, the last one I had. So that's relatively quick.
And when you did the PSMA, what was your PSA then?
When I did the PSMA, it was 0.1. I think it was 0.14.
You know, I would I'd like to see you do a PSMA when you're a little higher. Now, you've done PSMAs before, correct? You did them. Did anything ever show up on a PSMA with you?
There were nodes. There were little things light up, very small SUVs or whatever, in one in my shoulder and 2 in my rib area that they assume were benign. In the follow-up PSMA, they were exactly the same size. There was no change at all in them, so they feel even more they were confident then that it was benign. They're even more confident now that
it's benign. Okay, so I guess my question is, do we think you produce PSMA? Are they comfortable that you produce PSMA?
I believe. I mean, because there was light up in the pelvic area, for sure.
It did light up in the pelvic area,
yeah.
Right? So I would tend to, as long as you produce PSMA.
By the way, not in this last one, but in the first one. In this one, there was no pelvic activity.
Right. So if you produce PSMA, I would kind of like to let it get a bit higher, because there might just be a chance that there is something out there that's producing this PSMA, and rather than giving you 25 shots to the pelvic girdle, we may be able to do spot radiation with something. And that might be a way to start off, do metastasis directed therapy. And that's also one of the reasons why, even though I'm sure Gutman is very good, I don't know too many people who've been treated by him. I would get a second opinion from Zalewski as how to handle this, because we know, Zalewski's one of the very best. He's right up there with the Kishans and the Nagars and the Roaches and all of those. And rather than rushing into 25 sessions of IMRT, I'd like to maybe go a little bit slower, see if we can find anything else, see what some of the other really, really good at. And Zalewski has a lot more experience than Gutman. And he's very solid.
I'm open to second opinions. Obviously, everything's been with MSK. I feel very, because of my doing the trial with the medical oncologist, the surgeon, there's a lot of people looking at it. In fact, today Gutman said, okay, look, every Tuesday we discuss cases. I'm going to bring this up to my team and just see what they're thinking. And I've also reached out to Dr. McHugh saying, can I just get your feedback? Obviously,
you definitely need ask McHugh, about what he thinks going on. But I would go, I mean, you've got a nice relationship with David Wise. And I'm sure that Dr. Wise will help you get in to see Zalewski quickly.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I met with him on your recommend. I don't know if I have a nice relationship. I talked with him one time.
Well, you talked with him. He liked you. You had a good conversation, and and you used him as a second opinion before, and you want to do the same thing with Zalewski now. He'll help you.
I'll reach out. I'll find his email and reach out. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. And the only thing I will say on the issue of the PSMA is, again, the reason why I feel somewhat confident that this is prostate PET activity and only prostate PET activity is because I was undetectable for a while after the surgery. So to me, that is a sign that the activity is there, because otherwise it wouldn't make kind of sense that there's something else going on, in a different region. And maybe I'm wrong thinking about that, but the fact that I did go undetectable even for a few months is a sign that's where the hotbed is.
Look, we don't know if it's in the prostate bed. We don't know if it's in a lymph node. Just because you were undetectable doesn't mean, oh, it must have come back in the prostate. It could be anywhere. We don't know where it is. And, when you try to rationalize this stuff, you're second guessing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I kind of want to hear what somebody like a Zalewski says, who's probably also dealt before with people that have a BRCA mutation and may have had this, and he's got experience, because that's really where to me it comes into play. And if I was to hold that up against starting radiation in January, I think I would just try and get a few more pieces in the puzzle. Len, what do you think before you go to sleep altogether?
Yeah, I do have to get up early like Bob Schwartz, and I'm still here. But what I'm thinking, Darren, if I were you, I'd be talking to McHugh or whoever, saying, hey, look, I have BRCA2. Why is it that you're not thinking BRCA2 is driving this prostate cancer? Why are you talking about radiation or hormone therapy? Why not continue the olaparib?
Well, I
That's
would.
what
Obviously, it's not approved. This was a clinical trial. It's only approved for metastatic, advanced. So I have to find a trial, which may or may not exist. I did talk afterwards about getting the compassionate use or what extended use, expanded use, and he said it's possible, but he said it's probably not curative, right? So, or like radiation could knock out what you have left, in a way that he didn't think the olaparib, even though it's very helpful, would do the same thing. And because he said, like, this is still, in my opinion, still a curative type of cancer, which is not really typically seen with olaparib and PARP inhibitors. But I hear you. I mean, obviously, I know in the back of my mind, I'm going to be on olaparib or another PARP inhibitor at some point. I dealt pretty well with it. As far as I'm concerned, almost all my side effects were ADT related, except for some nausea in the early part of the treatment. So I know that's probably in my future, and it's kind of, everything's like, what's best next? Can I knock out what's kind of still there with Zap in it? But I agree with you. It makes sense to talk to Dr. Hugh again a little bit more.
Rick, don't we know anybody who got olaparib who were BRCA2 positive and weren't NCRPC?
We do, but they got it. They got it because they happened to have it in their lab, and they were testing, and they were using it for their yeast research testing. And they took it to their tumor board, and they took it to their buddy Johan de Bono, and they said, Johan and tumor board, do you think I should use this? And the answer came back, yes. And that was Professor Bill, God rest his soul. But I don't know. I mean, Darren, do you think there are no trials for non-metastatic recurrence? Have you checked?
I did check. I did check around, August after I got the rising, and I didn't see anything. Certainly not in my immediate area. And the one thing that Dr. McHugh put in front of me, which gets a little bit to what Len was talking about, there are some T-cell engagers which are of interest, and he thought could be worthwhile. But
but that's not what we're focused here. We're focused in that we know that a PARP inhibitor will work for you.
Right.
We want to get you a PARP inhibitor. We don't want you going down a whole bunch of other rabbit holes. So Dr. McHugh should be doing whatever he can to see how he can get you a PARP inhibitor.
All right. Well, I'll mention to it when I
You mention it to him, you know, and mention it to Wise as well. Ask Wise if he knows anything like that. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, sure. I agree. I appreciate it. I know everyone. I feel so bad because it's way past.
Oh, it's okay because this is good stuff, and you know. Anyway, we're all fine. It's only Len we worry about here, the old man, you know, and he's going to sleep there. But he's down in Venice, Florida, so you know your heart should bleed for him, Darren. With
Yeah, it's only 8. What is? I don't know, 7. That's not even 8 yet. Come on.
Hey, I'm from New York, Darren. I know what you're going through. All right. We only have Gary
as
left.
long as Monday Night Football's on, I'm up anyway. So.
How old are you, Darren?
I'm 52.
52. Okay. I understand your fear. Totally get your fear completely. But Rick is not wrong about you don't know where it is. You think it's in your prostate, but you really don't know. But if you do the radiation, you'll have some side effects, and you'll at least check that box, and you'll see. I don't have a BRCA situation, but I've gone through prostatectomy. I've had radiation, and mine is starting to click up a little. I see Schmulowitz in Chicago, and he says, you know, we can work on the PSA number and put you back on hormone treatment, or we can just watch it very closely. He says, I'm all over it because of AnCan, and he's very comfortable letting it just, it kind of bounces up and down a little bit. He's happy leaving it there, and we'll just do PSMA PET scans every 3 months.
Can
and we'll watch it when something pops up. We'll hit it with SBRT, and I've had rib meds, so it's a hard decision. I hear you, and I just want you to know my heart's with you.
I appreciate it, David. Can you tell me when you had the initial recurrence, what your PSA was then, or how long was it?
I had a prostatectomy in June of 17, and it was 0 for 6 months, and then it popped up to 0.3, and then it popped up to 1.6, and then it popped up to 2, and that's when I went on ADT and I did radiation, and it brought it down for a little while, and then it popped up again, and so it's somewhere, but it's not going crazy on me, and living. For me, it's a balance of living without a lot of side effects, because the side effects are real hard on me. And I'll tell you, the radiation kicked my ass at the end, big time, and had all kind of issues. So if you can watch it for a little while, and I know you get a little nervous about it, but if you can watch it for a little while and you're on top of it, then I'm a big one for enjoying today.
Yeah. You said 1.4 or 0.14 or 0.16?
It went over. It got up to I think it got up as much as 1.6. And
you had Gleason. What was your Gleason? Do you have cribriform?
4+3 on the Gleason. And so your number is still very low, 0.19, right?
I mean, yes. I mean, relatively for sure.
And if you watch it every 30 days, you can watch its trajectory.
Yeah.
And if you can put it away for 30 days and just enjoy the next 30 days, then do it again. It's taken me a while to get there. But
Gary's been waiting patiently here through this long discussion. Let's let him get in there for a minute. Go ahead, Gary.
Everybody's tapped out at this point. I've got nothing urgent, Len. Just let it carry over.
All right.
Thank you, though.
Okay.
Larry has his hand up. I don't know if that means he has a comment or not.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add on the question about what to do other than exercise is what you eat has an effect on how fast the cancer grows or regresses. So I recommend starting with the book, How Not to Die. It's very optimistic, but it's a good place to start that research.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you.
Well, Yeah, I mean, Darren, I think, has done some work on diet, but I think what is really important during radiation is be prepared to change your diet and to eat all the things that Be Prepared Not to Die is going to tell you not to eat. Because when you go through radiation, white foods are just fine. I'm trying to think what all the other things that you're not supposed to eat. When we go through radiation, we have to eat stuff that passes through us and is easy to digest. Don't go with high fiber foods during radiation. So yes, make sure you meet with the dietitian before you start your radiation to get your radiation diet, which will be not a good prostate cancer diet.
Okay.
Hmm.
I didn't know that. So I mean, I knew not the gassing. I knew that, and or anything that's going to.
Most of the guys who have been through radiation here will tell you that they've been told, oh, you can eat all those, eat those white goods, eat that white bread, eat that white pasta, all the stuff you're not supposed to eat. It's okay during radiation.
Tough because I'm a celiac, so I'm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well you can't have that anyways.
Whoa, that gives you additional risk factors, doesn't it, for radiation? Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. They didn't mention it. I say celiac. I have this antibodies. They did endoscopy. Didn't see celiac. So it's. I've gotten rid of gluten, and it seems to have helped some of my digestive stuff. I'm sure there's probably added risk there, but they didn't mention it. So.
All right, we've got to close up because we've got to let Len go home. And I've made a note with Gary Peters. I don't know who's doing it next. Who's in the hot seat? It's either Dr. John or me, but we know.
Rick, is there going to be an extra Christmas bonus for me for hanging in there this long?
Oh yeah, for sure, Len. Absolutely.
All right. Do I need to hit the record button to stop it, or we just let that go?
Well, we're going to close the meeting at the same time, so we can just close the meeting, and we're all
just
good.
Close the meeting, guys. Thank you for hanging in there all this time. Darren, good luck, and come back and let us know what you decided.
Yeah, Darren, don't be a stranger. There's so much good information in this place, man.
I know. I appreciate it.
And Gary, let's make sure we get to Gary early next week.
We'll get Gary early. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good luck, everyone.